welcome back to DevTube. In this video we're going to be discussing about which different languages, specifically 3, are great to start off with if you are a beginner. But before that, just to be clear on which languages we're going to be talking about and which actually fit our list's criteria, let's look at this chart on Geeks for Geeks. So you have your markup languages on the right, so HTML, CSS, XML, LaTeX is another example. These aren't really considered programming languages because they're just used to design and style some sort of user interface. And however, everything on the left are considered to be programming languages. So these are all examples in general, but scripting languages, as you can see over here, are basically the subcategory of programming languages which is used to give guidance to another program. So the first one on our list is actually a scripting language, and it's called JavaScript. So the first option in this list over here. And it's a scripting language because it gives functionality to both HTML and CSS properties. So let's actually take a look at an example. So in our HTML, we have an h1 tag that contains hello, and it has the ID title. Then we have a button that says click, and it has an onClick attribute that contains the function change. And if you see our JavaScript on the right, we define a change function. And the first thing that our change function does is that it creates a variable called title and sets it equal to the h1 element. So first we access the document, and then we use a function called query selector, and then we pass in the ID of the element, which is title. The hashtag represents, it's the symbol that represents ID. And then we check if the inner HTML of the title has hello, and if it does, then we change it to bye. Otherwise, we change it to hello. So let's actually try it out. Let's press click, it goes to bye, and then if you click it again, then it changes to hello and then bye. Now that was all front end. So yeah, that was all front end. But you can also use JavaScript in the back end with Node.js. So let me minimize this. The first line here, we are requiring Express, which is a dependency that that makes it easy for us to initiate a server. And all programming languages are able to do this, where you require other people's code. And then in line 3, we're creating an instance of Express. In line 5, we're creating a variable called counter, setting it equal to 0. And then now we're making a get method. And what get methods do is when you go onto your browser and then, for example, search up Facebook, the first thing you get is the landing page. And that's what's considered as the home route. So if we go onto our project right now, if we run it, if we go into it, then it'll run the code in here. So then we're switching in between hello and bye, similar to the previous example, but we're instead using counter to dictate when to say hello and bye. So if the counter is even, then it'll send hello. If it is odd, it'll send bye. And then you would add counter both times. Now this is kind of having counter plus plus on 2 lines is unnecessary. You could have just put it on line 16, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And then we're finally listening, making our app listen to port 3000. So let's go run this, and we run it by typing node index.js. Let's press enter. Server is on 3000. And now let's open up a new tab. Let's go to localhost 3000. And then you have hello. If we reload, then bye. Hello, and then bye. And yeah, they keep switching. So that's a little bit about JavaScript. It's very powerful, very useful, and a great programming language to start off with. So now we're moving into Python with Tazwar.
Now, for the number two best programming languages to start off, we believe that the place goes to Python. The premise of this language is mainly for code readability and encompasses a lot more white spaces than other languages. For most people, Python is the go-to language as the key sensitivity for this language is a lot lower compared to other programs. For example, if I tried to add the numbers 1 through 5 using Java, it would look something like this. Whilst with Python, it would look like this. So there definitely is less characters involved in the process of creating code. Also, with Python being an open source framework, a lot of libraries and frameworks can be developed off of it. These include PyQt, PyGS, PyGUI, Kiwi, PyGTK, and WXPython. And in terms of projects that are multi-industry, it is definitely a fulfilling programming language. If you are someone who is very interested in the gaming industry and would like to go into that specific type of work in the future, then Python definitely is a good place to start as the language has been heavily used in recent decades and is widely accepted as a format that is compatible with game coding. Additionally, with projects becoming more team focused, coding languages must be compatible throughout various teams so that individuals can prosper when going in depth inside a project that they may be interested in creating in the future. And just to add on to all of this, Python remains on top of most lists in terms of popularity because of their user-friendly aspect that attracts beginner programs. In fact, a study from Northeastern University says that Python remains on the top of his list with the number of jobs being 19,000 with the average annual salary of 120,000. Even with such a high income-based programming language being present, it is definitely a useful tool for not only gaming but data analysis as well as other programming frameworks that is very important in today's society.
Coming in at number 3, we have Java. Java is similar to Python in its object-oriented programming aspect. However, the key difference is that Java was built for object-oriented programming, and in Python, it was sort of an afterthought. Java also includes extra features such as security to the object classes, which is a feature that is not available in Python. Java also uses static types, while Python uses dynamic types. What this means is that you can't mix types in Java, but in Python you can. So, for example, in Python, you can have a list of random types, but you can't have a list of random types in Java. In Java, you have to have a list of one type. And another example I can give is that in Python, you can have a list of strings and ints, but in Java, you can only have a list of either ints or strings only. So, enough of the comparisons between Python and Java. Let's talk about why Java is a great language. As mentioned before, Java is similar to Python, so if you know Python, you can easily pick up Java. And if you're new to coding, no, in general, just no need to worry because Java is easy enough for any person to learn. So let's take a look at some code. So I'm going to be on this website, beginnersbook.com, and as you can see, we have some code up on the screen. So here in this code, we have a class that adds two numbers. And right here, we're assigning variables, as you can see, and then we're adding them and assigning them to the variable sum, and then we're simply just printing it out. And as you can see, the language is very readable and it's very understandable. We even labeled the class method add two numbers, and just in general, the language is very readable and very understandable just from um, a simple glance. So, a second reason why Java is a good programming language for beginners is that there's plenty of material out there for beginners to look at, and essentially you can get a better understanding of Java just by looking at all the material that's available online, or just a few. As you can see, the website I'm on has many examples for different for different codes and coding segments. And the best uh, essentially, you can go to YouTube, and there are endless amounts of tutorials and learning guides. And the best part is that they're all free. The only thing that you need, to learn Java is your time. And as with anything else that's new to you and that you need to learn, time is going to be needed, and some sort of effort. And the third reason why Java is a good programming language for beginners is because it allows for lucrative developer jobs. Java is highly used by software developers in the Android market slash sector. The Android market is growing every year, and as you can see, every year the more and more users use Android. And if you look at the market share for Android in the mobile market, it's growing every year, which translates to more applications that are going to be made, which translates to more job openings for the Android developer position. The job also has a very nice salary as well. So let's take a look at Glassdoor. As you can see, the average base pay is $96,000, which means with other things such as stock options and bonuses, you're looking at a salary that's well around the six-figure mark. So yeah, um, as I said, Java is a very great language to start off with. And if you don't want to start off with Java, we have the other two languages such as Python and JavaScript that you can start off with, and they're very good languages in their aspects too and their advantages. So if you like the video, please subscribe, like, share, and comment, as it does help the channel out. And peace.